Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome back to the stream. Honestly, I am feeling so good right now. But if you look at the time, it's 8:35, which means we have half an hour to finish everything, and then I have to stop using the screen. Because if I use the screen after 9 p.m., I'm not going to bed today. Unfortunately, yeah. So, I decided to finish it off today, and actually, let's look at what we have so far. So, actually, I had done a little bit of a drawing while I was basically I could not stream, but I wanted to work on the game, so I decided to draw. And this is what the character that I've added looks like. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe we should just go ahead and swap our main character for this character right now. I feel like that's something that is worth spending time on. In fact, you know what, let's just do space PR. And that probably goes from like include um and I honestly I do not remember which one it is. Is it system sprite data? Okay, that's the thing. All right, so sprite data, and here let's essentially swap it to sprite grid 1 0. So that should give us a um, nice character. Oh wait, that's not the thing. Yeah, no such file. Yeah, that's exactly. Um, Run with cmig dash dash build dash dash target. What's it called? Target sand main and dot slash build. Um, what if I want? What if I don't want? Okay, build source and then send main. Okay, so it is saying that. Let's see what the issue is here. Dash target CG. Oh, okay. It's saying here there's no build basically inside of this, and that should work. So I have tried to set up GitHub Actions, and I could not. And by the way, guys, I am not reading the chat for this one because it's just so short. And usually people like keep like they just go ahead and watch the stream by the end of it. And I stream usually in the morning, so there's just no point for me reading chat right now. I just don't have the time for it. So okay, this will compile. While it's compiling, we can just keep on working here. So I want to add something that I've added inside of here, which is this fence. And also I had just realized that when I export, I need to export with transparency. So this fence here, it's actually kind of boring. And I have realized that I could cheat a lot actually. So we're gonna implement marching cubes if we have enough time, of course. And the way marching cubes works is basically if you look, yeah, okay, so this is our second character, and I will admit the hair should be darker. I haven't had time to. I'll set it up later, it doesn't matter, but he does look pretty cool. I do want to add some animations, but whatever. Okay, there you go. So that's the character. Now what I'm. Oh shit, did not show my Discord on stream. Don't fucking show my Discord. You know what? Let's just queue out of that. No, not you. Quit Discord. Okay. Don't fucking show my Discord. Never. On stream, not allowed. just it's just something I do. Okay. So I think it's safe now. So I need to set up. So, first of all, let me go over to um, I don't know. Let's just let me Google something that I know well. Let's see, pixel art. So let me hang on. I think I explained it on one of the previous streams, because I haven't explained it in like a separate video, I'm just gonna explain it right now. So look at this picture right here. Let me just make sure you can see it. Yeah. So look at this picture right here. So you see the fence? The fence actually has here. Ignore the gate. Just ignore it. Imagine it doesn't exist. The the fence usually has at least 6 different like orientations basically. Now the way this one is set up, it probably doesn't have all 6 of them, but actually this one probably does. So here's how the fence works. You have the vertical version, the horizontal version, and you also have 4 corner versions. And that's how this fence works. Ignore the gate, doesn't matter. The gate doesn't fucking matter. So if we want to render fences in our game, we need at least 6 of those versions. Now in this case, I actually just have, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, we only have 4 out of 6 of these. And the reason for that is because I'm lazy. That's the only reason. It's just really the reason for it. And in fact, you could even set it up in such a way that you would only use 4 all the time, like not just this case, but just all of it. So the way that this fence works is you have this vertical. At least my fence would work this way, and I'm gonna swap it out later. Yeah, I'm gonna have this vertical, sorry, horizontal. I don't know, this like central one right here. I'm gonna have this act both as a corner, as all 4 basically corners, as well as the 3-way fence. So imagine like a fence that like extends that way, like into there. So this intersection here be like a T fence, right? And these are the way that they're drawn is they can tile in a really good manner that makes them very good. This is the, what is it, horizontal or vertical or something, and basically the way this tiling works is this thing is this thing basically, so it tiles like with these fences, it also tiles with these, sorry, with these fences, so it doesn't matter. And then the last fence is the 4-way fence, which is like, honestly, I could have drawn it in such a way that all of them would be 4-way fences, and they would all work. Actually, not all of them. You can make all of them. You need this one. But the point is, like, this thing is a 4-way fence. So, like, it's basically an intersection between the 4 fences, like on a corner. So if you've ever played something like Clash of Clans, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen those fences. I mean, we could, in fact, Google Clash of Clans. Clash of Clans. I mean, any image of a base would yield what I need. Actually, not every. No. Okay, there you go. So let's take a look at this image. Let me open image in new tab. What I'm trying to implement here is I'm trying to implement the algorithm that looks at these fences, and it's like, okay, consider this fence. It's got a fence on this side and on this side. So I'm gonna pick this image of the fence. And then consider this fence. It's got the fence here, but it doesn't have it on these corners, so I'm gonna pick a different image. And you can kind of see that they are different images, even though they kind of are probably the same image. Not really the same exact copy of the image, although actually now that I look at it, you could make it just one image and then you could smartly render it. You know, there are certain techniques that allow you to just like mirror the image and have it this way. But the thing about these fences is that, oh, and is there like any 4-way fence to show off? There are some 3-way fences, but they're kind of obscure. They're kind of hard to see. Any 4-way fences? So a 4-way fence would be kind of like this thing, but as if it would extend that way as well. So it's a combination of this picture and this picture. So we have all 4 types of them. We have a 1-way fence, we have a 2-way fence as well, and the 2-way fence is also acting as a 3-way fence, and we have a 4-way fence. And the 1-way fence actually needs to go in 2 directions, so we have that as well. So now we need to implement the algorithm that would tell us basically based on the inputs of like which way is which way, it needs to give us some kind of output, and an output is going to be a number. Now that number In our case, with just 5 or what is it, 6 of them, 5 of them, it's not really gonna do much good, because essentially my idea is that I draw 16 versions of these sprites, and then I say that essentially these 16 versions, they are each marked with specific index, and then depending on these booleans, we select the correct image based on like basically the combination of the 4 booleans, like is the above the fence or is it the below the fence or all of that. So we need to render fences. We are going to start with just a test, and we're not going to write any code for actually displaying them on the screen, because if A, I don't have enough time, B, there is just too much work in doing that, and we're probably gonna end up rewriting it because it's like we need an entire like map data structure, and we don't have that. And I am planning on adding it in because we're gonna need it, but you know, let's do that in steps. So let's do a marching cubes test.cpp, and then we can just copy this, and inside of here create file, Control Shift V, and just remove that spacing right there. Okay, so marching cubes.cpp currently has no information in there, and we're gonna populate it with just z-index text. So we need the gtest main, and we're gonna set it up like that, and we can pretty much close this thing right now. No, do not post. No, here, just P. Okay, so this is going to be the foundation. We're gonna write a test for marching cubes, and for now it's just gonna be a none because I don't know what to call it. But once we are done with that, we can close the CMake lists. We can pretty much close the sprite data. We don't need that, and we can pretty much close this main.cpp. Okay, so now let's make sure that this compiles. So I'm actually going to run the test version of this, which will... Oh, so now it executes build send test. Did I ask it to, or is it the default that's currently loaded? I don't know. Anyway. Alright, so it's saying that fetch content make available is... Oh, this is the thing that I messed up in here when I opened this CMake file and I pasted something weird. So Control Shift like that. Marching cubes.cpp, that should work. Buffer kill, and then project test. And there you not work. Ah! Sources given. Are you kidding me? What? Oh, I love this song. So we have about an hour worth of just music in that thing. Also, I just realized it's gonna run the test twice. Anyway. I mean, if it fails, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, there you go. So you can see right here is what we are looking at. Actually, yeah, I think it ran the test twice. Let's just make it run like that. Oh, it wouldn't actually do anything useful. Let's edit this file as if it was edited. Doesn't matter that it doesn't get edited at all. Hello? You know that I haven't edited this file? How? Are you smart? Let's add a comment or something. Now you know I have edited this file because it's essentially not the same file. Please. Okay, this test passed, and you can see right here we've got one test from marching cubes, and it is passing right now. So here's something that I wanted to do. So inside of this test, what do we want to do? What is the thing that we want to kind of test? Well, we want to test the function that takes in 4 booleans and returns a number. And the reason why we want to test it is because we want that code to be separate from all the other code. We don't want this code to, basically be inside of this thing. Now, I would much rather maybe name it this thing, like I would just maybe make it like a lambda, and then make that lambda like a named thing, like a named lambda, which kind of, yeah, actually destroys the purpose of the lambda. So in that case, because we're not making it a lambda, let's start things off with writing the actual test code. So we're gonna expect, and we're gonna expect. Well, I mean, what do we expect? We expect that when we give in, now that I think about it, this test, there is just no need for this test. Like, there is no real reason to have this test here, because the function is literally like, okay, I'm gonna delete this test. This is just useless. I mean, I'll explain why this is useless, because I think that it is. The reason why I think it is useless is actually quite simple. I think that we can just make a lambda instead of core here. So let's create a file called create file called marching cubes.hpp, and as every core thing, it is going to just contain a pragma once, of course, as always. Can't have without a pragma once. Not a single time can you have it without a pragma once. Okay, that's uncomfortably big. And then inside of here, you're gonna declare a function that returns a number. So it's gonna return some const std integral. I don't really care what it returns, to be honest. Integral, and for that we'll need hash include concepts. Hello? Concepts. Yes, please. So auto. And I really don't care what it returns. Like, it could return anything. I would prefer to return a uint8t, but I don't really care what it is. So it would return this auto, and it's called and it's gonna be called marching squares index is what it will be. And it will take these marching squares, and it will take a set of bools. So bool, and let's think about it. So we don't want these booleans to be like, west and north and east. We want them to be something simple. We want them up, bool, I said bool, down, bool, left, and bool, right. And by default, and there will be default, they'll be default to just false. And I'll explain why I think there should be this thing. It is so that, actually, now that I think about it, let's revert that. Oh, wait, I reverted too much. Hang on, let me redo that. So, actually, now that I think about it, it actually kind of is weird that it's default like this. Okay, so now what does this function do? Well, it needs to return something, and it returns a very simple kind of thing. And it returns a, how do you say it? It returns a up and 1. Wait, no. You want, like, so this is something interesting here, because this boolean up it's quite interesting. I would say, even, like, okay, so boolean, but, like, can you, like, what does a boolean really contain? What does it what does it contain? What is inside a boolean? Like, it's not that the boolean. Like, we could say, oh, you know, a boolean it's always equal to, like, literal 1. So we could say, like, bool true equal 1. Well, yes, everything that's not a 0 equal to 1. But do you know that this is a 1 and not a 2? It could be a 3. It could be anything. So basically what we want to do is we want to say, well, return, and by the way, this should be not just cons, this should be also const expr. And I'll explain why that is. First of all, we can then justify defining it inside of a header file. Secondly, in some cases, the compiler should probably optimize this to a better version of it. And I kind of want to plug it into Compiler Explorer and just kind of see what it does with it. But the thing that it's doing is, if it's up, then it's going to be up, 1 shifted. Actually, let's specify it like 0x 1 0 0. Else 0. XORed, and XORing I think is this thing. I'm gonna have to look it up. XOR C++. I'm pretty sure we can just specify it as, XOR. Yeah, you can just specify it like that. I think that, like, you could use this operator, but to me, being more kind of explicit about it makes more sense. So XOR with down, and down would be then 0x 01 00 else 0. XOR left 0x 0010 else 0. XOR right, which will be 0x 0001, and yes, they don't have to be this way, but just to be sure, and or 0. So that actually looks pretty good to me. Even though it looks kind of weird, it is looking rather beautiful to me. I don't think I would have ever thought of, doing it this way. I will admit this thing here does look kind of weird. Yo, that is such a cool formatting, but it should be a semicolon at the end, by the way. So theoretically this should compile, and of course it will compile because we didn't modify anything in the CMake lists, because this thing is not actually using anything. This thing is not used anywhere, but this will allow us to now return a value. Now, inside of the test folder, what we could do is we could say that we could say things like if, like we could find some weird edge cases, like we could test that it's actually XORing it or what. But I don't think I'll actually do that. By the way, what would it be? What it would actually return? Like, actually, I think yeah, it's gonna return everything properly. So anyway, there it is. That's how you make that thing. I hope marching squares will actually produce. I mean, I hope that this thing actually produces the right output. And just as a last thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna play around with this thing. I do not like his hair color. I will admit that. I mean, we can change it real quick here. If we just grab this color, I mean, it just needs to be a little darker. That's all there is to it. Just needs to become darker.
This is the future. Human error.
Yeah, and there needs to be even darker version of this in a few places, like here, here, and here. Actually, should be even darker than that.
This is the future.
Save export,
Evolution.
and restart with space p run. Alright, yeah, okay, that's a little more contrast and you can kind of see it. So that's the game done, and of course we don't have animations just yet. I think we're gonna set up the marching cubes algorithm, and then we're gonna add the animation system. But for the animation system to actually, like, for me to have an animation system, I need like something set up already where I can essentially have not just animations. Oh, and by the way, for the animations to work properly, we're gonna need to do a lot of like physics tweaking, because we want to make sure that like if our animation is supposed to be played, like say there is like, actually there is no real constraint to the animation thing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way, the way that I thought it should be. So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. We have the thing done. The hair does look kind of weird. Let's make sure that the actual like that everything works, and yeah, I think we're gonna finish here. We'll admit they look kind of weird. We're gonna have to tweak some values with Voxity, but yeah. What was I doing? I finished this. This is what I did today. In half an hour, I explained all of it, and I hopefully have done it correctly. Now, here is something to understand here, and that is the fact that when you return this number, the way that this thing would work would be oh, and by the way, because it's it doesn't have to be a boolean. I think a cast to a bool would be yeah, actually let's keep it a boolean. I was just thinking about like some template, or you know, oh, and also this is const bool. I don't know if that will improve any performance. But I feel like it will. And also it makes it a little better looking. Actually that looks pretty nice looking function to me. I mean, this is pretty cool. It really is. And and that should be fast to compile. Um. Oh, and also, I feel like my game is eating too much CPU now that I think about it. How much? Yeah, actually, it's eating like 20% of my CPU, which to me seems like a single core. Which in fact, oh, that is not supposed to be eating this much CPU. This is not supposed to be eating this much CPU, especially if it's not actually displaying stuff on the screen. I'm considering making it so that if you're not having this window focused, it does not render. Or at least it kind of knows that the window is obscured, that you cannot see the window, and it like stops rendering. Or actually the best way of doing this would be to make a pause menu, and essentially if you're not focused on the window, and yeah, like if you're not focused on the window, it just pauses the game. And I think there should be like a flag that overrides it, because this game right now does not use the cursor at all. And I'm considering not using, like, completely not using the mouse for this game. I'm considering just like, using like the keyboard for everything. Like absolutely everything, like movement, like shooting, if there would be like some kind of weapon or something. I don't want to use the mouse at all. And the reason for that is actually quite simple. The reason for that is that I think that it's just going to be faster for the player and easier for the player to use the game if they don't have to switch to the mouse. Because it's so cool to have like certain key bindings set to just keys on the keyboard. And you just have like, say, your main hand, here like on the, so it's basically going to be working like a controller, like a joystick. Oh my god, we also have to have controller support. Jeez. The reason why I want controller support is because I would really appreciate if I could just grab I do have a controller, which is kind of terrible at being a controller. I hate it. But it is pretty good in terms of like what it can do. It's got buttons. I don't know, kind of quiet. I don't think the music is quiet enough to hear this, which, by the way, I should really turn down my music. So yeah, the thing is that I do have a controller, and I want to kind of have it. At least I want to be able to rebind keys. But in order for me to be able to rebind keys, I need a way to save settings, preferably. I would want to set that up because I want to immediately like make my settings thing serializable so that I could save it to a file. And I also would want to have a menu system, which I don't have at all. How am I supposed to do everything at the same time? You know what? Actually, you know what we're gonna do? I am not going to do it like, so, okay, so I think the goal for tomorrow's stream, actually tomorrow won't be no stream at all. I'm not gonna stream tomorrow because, or will I? Actually, I might stream in the evening if I have time, though. Not sure about that, because like tomorrow basically until about like 3 p.m. I'm gonna be busy, and after that I'm probably gonna stream, knowing myself, because that's, yeah, okay. I guess that's the way. All right then. So in that case, basically the next stream that I will have, I think we'll try to add the actual like building to the game, which would all be like basically keyboard based. I don't want to integrate the mouse. I want to solve all the problems with the keyboard. And actually, it is pretty easy to solve. Like building, it is pretty easy to solve. Like say, right now I'm kind of aligned to this like grass grid, right? The way to solve my issues with like building is if you activate like with some button, you activate build mode, and then you just navigate uh, with the keys on the keyboard. And I'm thinking like basically it should feel in terms of like time wise, it should feel that using these keys should be the same, like it should take the same amount of time as if you were to walk. So walking, as you can see currently, isn't very grid based, but like say if I press S or say A or something or D, you can see that it takes about like, I don't know, I actually should probably look it up. I think the speed of the character is 3 blocks a second. So then basically we should like measure how much time it would take for us to move a block. And we should just make it so that the speed of this like selector where to put stuff, it should be then um, the same amount that is the walking speed, maybe a little bit faster though. Maybe just a little bit faster. Because as you can see, like the walking speed is kind of slow. And also I think single presses should then like be even faster. So like here, if you single press, you see you don't walk very fast. But with the grid-based movement, it should be like extremely fast. And I don't know. It would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool to set up. There is another thing I need to do, and that is like, you know, rotations of camera. To be honest, I have no idea how to do that. Like, I just don't have any idea. It's beyond me. I don't want to set it up just yet. And this will have a lot to do with like marching squares and all of that, because actually it will have very little to do with marching squares. Marching squares are just going to be for rendering. But like setting it up so that marching squares get the right booleans, not just the default booleans, but like the other ones. Oh my goodness me. This is going to be hard. Also, I should set the character sprites to be a little bit have the same z index as everything else, and just have the UI being the foreground, nothing else. You know what I just thought? I want to make some platformers. I don't know why. I just want to make some platformers. I don't want to build this entire like sandbox game, which was what I'm looking for. Like, which is what I'm going for. Uh, I'm more of like, let's build something quick and fast and fun, like Celeste, but for like a game jam. I feel like I could actually, like, now that I think about it, I have the engine almost done, like almost being. It actually is quite far from being complete, because like we need day-night cycles, we need lighting, we need all that. But like theoretically, after the game engine is done, I could use it for like a game jam, and you could too because it's open source. And I don't like when people like close source their projects. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just getting like all sorts of creative ideas, and for some reason, specifically at fucking night, when I can't use the screens because sleep schedule. Oh, duh. I don't want to end this stream because I'm just too happy, but I realize if I don't. Okay, you know what? At this point, it's just thoughts aloud, and I'll see you later. See you later, peeps. Oh my god, I just looked at the YouTube dashboard and it's like stream setup help, and I'm like, what? What? Oh, that scared the shit out of me. Okay, bye. Oh, dismiss.